You're listening to the official Push Square podcast featuring Ben and Ben. Do you push square?
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Push Square podcast. My name's Barry Scott and I'm reading this verbatim for the best PlayStation website on the internet, pushsquare.com. And joining me as always, even though it's only been 22 times, is Ben Tarrant. Hello Tarrant.
Hello Potter.
You write these show notes,
I do.
don't you?
I wanted to have a bit of fun because
you
were reading them verbatim last time, so I took advantage.
Yeah, it was weird. I managed about 20 episodes off the top of my head, doing the same intro every time, and then one week I just couldn't do it.
Yeah,
and so I had to write it down. And now you've ruined that for me. You've ruined it. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Bit swamped at the minute. I've got a lot going on.
You're doing some game dev stuff, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. I've spent this afternoon in Unity playing about. I made a cube move. That was fun.
Excellent. Yeah. It's all about the baby steps.
Yeah, you've got to basically it saves the scripts. So I can reuse that script that I wrote today to get movement on any 3D object using WASD keys. So, yeah,
brilliant. It's like Harry Potter. You watched in the first film; they can't even move a feather. I can't even say move. They couldn't even move a feather. Leviosa. Last film, killing folk, aren't they?
Exactly.
So it's a learning process. Soon, you'll be bashing people about their heads with computers.
Yep.
Killing them.
Yeah, we definitely cover that in third year.
That's what you're building up to. That's third year stuff, though, so don't get ahead of yourself. Now, you may notice it's been a little while since we've done a podcast, and that's because we've been busy. But it also is because we are changing the scheduling slightly of this podcast.
Slightly.
We're going to be doing this monthly now. So we previously did it every 2 weeks, or we tried to, and that was something that was very achievable when we were in the same geographical location.
Yeah.
Now, we're at complete opposite ends of the country. I'm almost as far north as you can go, and you're almost as far south as you can go.
Indeed.
Just a few miles away. So, it's just very difficult to get together and record fortnightly. It's just a bit of a logistical nightmare, particularly with files and transferring things and stuff. It's doable, but it's a real drain on our spare time. And that's not to say that it's something that we don't enjoy doing, otherwise we wouldn't be here, but it is something that is becoming increasingly challenging. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it monthly instead, and that means we're going to try and shake up the show a little bit. The news will remain, but might be in a different form. I think the feature section may well be dropped, and we may include another section in its place. But we do want to hear from you guys and what you'd like the show to be, and don't just say, I'd like the show to be cancelled because it's rubbish. That's not helpful, okay? We know that. Tarrant's mum says that every day, and it's just so... I wish you'd have a word with your mum, because she's so rude about it. But we do want to know what you want this show to be, if there's any changes you'd like to make, any new features or sections you'd like to see. What's the email address again?
podcast@pushsquare.com.
Perfect. Now, we say that we've got grand plans. Currently, not in place. It is monthly. This is the first monthly podcast, but it will be assuming the same structure as previous podcasts. So we've got the news, no feature this week, but we do have Prey.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about Prey, which you actually played last week.
Yeah, I visited Bethesda's offices last week.
So you got a hands-on with that. The preview is up now on pushsquare.com. Then we're going to be talking about what we've been playing outside of Prey, some audience questions, and then we'll be wrapping it all up for you. So it's a similar structure, but that will be changing soon, and hopefully with your feedback, we can inform that change. Are you ready to go, Tarrant?
Let's do this.
First up, it is the news.
The newsy news.
Stuff has been happening, funnily enough. You've gathered this news like a diligent little news rabbit. Right? That's just a rabbit wearing a shirt that says... Squirrel, yeah. Rabbit, news squirrel.
News for the winter.
And it's so cold here. Yes. It's so cold here all the time, Ben. I hate it.
Did you have any more snow?
No.
It's tried to snow here a few times in the south, so...
It's not fair. We don't get snow. We just get
Cold.
Arctic winds. That's all we get. No frost, just so cold, though. That's not the point. News is here. You've got this news. Is this news more recent news, or is this spread from across the last few weeks?
It's spread, more or less.
Okay. Wicked.
So anything you might have missed...
This is it. If
This
you
is
didn't
it.
know what happened a month ago. See, this is why we're going to try and change up the news section slightly, because if we're doing it monthly and we're telling you stuff that happened the day after the last podcast released, it's not overly helpful. But what's the first piece of news, Ben?
So the PS4 Pro originally just did 4K rendering, which was more or less useless if you didn't have a 4K TV.
Right.
They've introduced boost mode. So this bumps up the quality of lots of games that are either yet to have received a PS4 Pro patch or have a PS4 Pro patch but don't necessarily run better. They just run visually better. So this boost mode actually, it does what it says on the tin. It boosts a game. For example, Bloodborne now gets a better frame rate.
And this boost mode, is it supported by all of the games that are included in this, or is it just something Sony has said, okay, now there's a boost mode which resides within the console itself?
The boost mode is part of the new software for the PS4,
Okay.
and as I understand it, it affects most games, even if they haven't got any PS4 Pro official, because it alters the way that the console runs with the game. There is a warning that some games won't actually operate properly if you're in boost mode, which would be where
so
they
it's
don't...
something you turn on.
Yeah, it's literally you go into the menu settings and it'll be a flick switch, and if the game runs a bit weird, then switch it back off.
That's why. Wow. Well, that's pretty cool. If you've got a PS4 Pro, I still don't know anyone that has a Pro. Apart from Sammy.
I'm keen to get one now. I'm slowly getting into the market of having to replace my launch day PS4 because I can't charge my controllers because I can't put it in rest mode anymore.
Okay, so see, that's a genuine reason to upgrade.
Yeah.
But, and Push Square did run an article on this, I think maybe last week or the week before, a poll about whether or not your PS4 was starting to slow down.
Okay.
And I have noticed that recently. I have a launch day PS4, and it's fine. I mean, I can't compare it to any other newer consoles in terms of loading times, but certainly the main menu of the PS4 feels very sluggish now, particularly when I go down into the TV section to load up Netflix. I press down, and all the icons stay there for like a second before they then pop up. That wasn't the case before, and I don't think that's a hardware issue. I think that's a software issue in terms of recent patches and updates. And there's an insidious part of you that will think, maybe they're trying to force people towards the Pro because they think their PS4 isn't performing properly.
Well, I'll be honest, it's not actually that uncommon for software manufacturers to actually do that. It's common knowledge that a lot
Apple.
of... You're right.
Apple. Sorry, what? No, I just coughed.
Yeah, it's common that a lot of Mac's operating systems will do that.
Yes.
And they'll brick the older laptops and PCs or whatever to force you almost to upgrade.
Yeah, that is just so horrid a business practice. I don't know how legal it is, but it's probably not overly provable either.
Yeah, exactly.
That they've done it intentionally. But even if they haven't done it intentionally, a lot of people's concerns about the PS4 Pro before the Pro came out was that people who had a Pro were going to get preferential treatment when it came to games, particularly playing online. There might be a differential there that gave Pro players an advantage, which isn't fair. But equally, even if it isn't intentional, you may find that when you use a Pro and you're on the menu, it loads fine, and it's just because they're rolling out the same update to both consoles that there's something that applies to the Pro that is messing with the original PS4s, which is still pretty much the same issue that people had in the first place with the Pro. Am I going to be treated like a second-class PS4 owner because I didn't upgrade? And that's kind of concerning. This boost mode is great, but it does relate to this whole issue of, are they trying to force everyone towards it by making the older version really, really crap?
Probably.
That sucks, doesn't it? Let's say, anyway.
It's not good.
Next up, Ni no Kuni is 45% done, according to Level 5, the developer. They showed this game off way too early.
Way too early, but that goes for like most things that are at any kind of convention. They blow their load way too early for the hype train.
They showed so much though. It wasn't even a CG trailer. It looked like it was in-game stuff. The announcement trailer. There was tons of it. I mean, I know it's developed in collaboration with Studio Ghibli.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of anime stuff in it, but it looked fairly far along when they announced it.
Well,
and we're 2 years later.
They're aiming for release this year, aren't they?
Are they?
Yeah.
45% done?
Exactly.
That's not going to happen.
No. It'll be mid-2018. Maybe.
That's a shame. I mean, they need to take as much time as they need, because it's that kind of game that deserves the love and respect to do it justice. But yeah, that's optimistic.
It won't come out this year. No way. Unless the other 55% is the credits.
Yes, or just marketing. Which it could well be.
And on the grounds of percents, Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the Roman numerals. Cool. 70% of that team is still focused on the game, which is, considering it's out and they're going to be rolling out DLC stuff now.
Yes, they are working on the post-release DLC.
So to have 70% of your team working on that still, that's really impressive. That's dedication to that title.
Yeah, I don't know how hefty this DLC is going to be. It's a couple of character packs,
right.
Sort of exploring the past of two of the main cast members.
Okay.
And yeah, it appears they're going to be quite hefty chunks of DLC, which is nice.
It's nice. I like it when a game announces that it's doing DLC, and obviously there's that internal groan, and then you realise that it's going to be pretty hefty world building, long-term DLC, rather than just character packs, costumes or cosmetic stuff, that's just churning money for the sake of it.
New skins for your car.
Exactly.
New soundtracks, just 50p.
It feels like such a gimmick. But yeah, hopefully they do follow through.
Now, from one developer doing something right to a developer trying to do something right, Call of Duty 2017, this year's Call of Duty, will apparently see the franchise return to its roots, and I think it might need to. I feel so sorry for the marketing team or the social media team for Infinite Warfare.
Oh yeah.
Every post on Facebook has more upset faces than anything else, just because it's trolls at this point.
Yeah.
It's just people who are like, oh, Call of Duty, boo. And it's childish, but it does, I think, finally portray perhaps the rest of the gaming public's feelings towards Call of Duty.
Yeah, the general public seem to have caught up with the kind of exhaustion the rest of the gaming community were feeling towards the incessant barrage of Call of Duty titles, and this incessantly futuristic march into self-destruction. Just everything has to have jump packs and exosuits and 1,000,001 guns, and everything everything has to be gold and diamond and prestige 1,000,000 times. It's just I'm aggressively rubbing the bridge of my nose in exhaustion at just this dead formula. And you know what?
Lewis Hamilton was in it.
Kit Harington from Game of Thrones.
So was Colin McGregor.
The fact that you're having to get A-list celebrities in as a gimmick for your trailer to try and shift copies, and having to bundle the last Call of Duty game that was actually any good in it to sell copies, surely highlights that you need to do something else.
Yeah, I don't know where I heard this, but someone was telling me the other day that in I think it is a financial call at Activision, they said that they were going to be releasing, maybe not the remainder, but some of Infinite Warfare's planned DLC for Black Ops 3 instead, because more people are playing that.
I mean, that would be... they wouldn't publicise that. They wouldn't say that. They'd just launch DLC for Black Ops 3.
Yeah, it would be weird, and people would say, why are you doing that?
But people would buy it.
I suppose people would, but that's dire. That's really dire.
They had more players on Steam playing Farming Simulator in the week of release than Infinite Warfare.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, Farming Simulator came above it in sales charts.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's tragic.
So for a game that sells, it just sells, that's really, really bad. Don't hold me on that one. Don't quote me on that one. But I'm pretty sure either that or Farming Simulator just came below it, which that unto itself is telling.
Good for Farming Simulator.
Yeah. Go.
Do you know how they would make a large chunk of this lost money back?
How?
By just releasing COD 4 standalone.
Yeah. Christ, yeah.
They swallowed their pride and just did that.
They'd anger a lot of people that coughed up the big bucks in the first place.
Oh, yeah,
though.
but to be honest, I feel no sympathy for those people because the people who coughed up the big bucks for that.
Well, they got a big box.
Were told by
bucks.
Yeah, they got a big box with it in, but they were told by everyone else, hey, just wait, and it'll go up. It'll go up, and they couldn't, and that's your fault. I hope you enjoyed your 6-month exclusivity with it.
See, going back to its roots, I'm not sure if that's either like Battlefield went back to its roots, and we're going to do the same.
It's World War II is their roots.
Are they just going to sack it off and do a remaster collection of the rest of the Modern Warfares?
Oh, God, I hope not, because I didn't like Modern Warfare 2 or 3.
I put too much time into Modern Warfare 2, actually, to be fair.
See, I thought they were fine. I thought they were fine games, and it was the narrative of the first game I thought was outstanding.
So good.
And I didn't get that from Modern Warfare 2, and I certainly didn't get it from Modern Warfare 3.
No.
The next game that really grabbed me was Black Ops. Okay. And I played a lot of the multiplayer of that as well.
Which
but
is
that was the last
for you,
one.
because you don't like the shooty stuff.
Not anymore. I used to.
Okay.
Not anymore, though.
You're a changed man.
Yeah, I just don't have time for it. And I don't have PlayStation Plus. So, so I don't have that. Next story.
So, Stuntman Ignition. It's received a PEGI rating for the PlayStation Store. So, you're sitting there thinking, is it going to make the jump from PS2 to PS4? Which would be cool. It was a popular game on the PS2. If anything, I hope it starts paving the way for more PS2 to PS4 jumps, because at the moment the selection's awful.
It is.
And Stuntman was one of those big titles, so...
Are there any games you'd like?
Battlefront 2, now that
that's a good point.
The dust has kind of settled on that.
With online support?
I could give or take it. I used to just like playing Galactic Conquest, to be honest.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that would work fine. Battlefront particularly, I'd like to see it get the Fahrenheit treatment, where it's not a PS2 classic, but it is a re-release.
Yes, that would
maybe
work.
like a PC re-release, basically.
Yeah, that would work.
Because that way you could have the online as well. I'd like Time Splitters.
Yes.
That's crazy that didn't get any kind of release on PS3 either. That's insane.
It's because I know a little bit about this.
It's Crytek just being silly with the license, right?
Well, there's a lot going on with it, because at the moment there's a fan remake that's actually licensed to go onto PS4.
Is it?
Yes.
So they've got the rights to it?
So they have the rights to publish it on PS4. Crytek have basically gone, you're not allowed any of the assets, you're not allowed any of the script, you're just allowed to call it Time Splitters. And it's been completely crowdfunded and invested.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were actually allowed to release it.
Yeah, that's the last I read. That's actually trying its best to come to consoles and such. Which again, Homefront Revolution got because that's made up of Crytek X Free Radical folk.
Yeah.
And that actually managed to get the first 2 levels of Time Splitters 2.
Yeah.
In an arcade game. Tidbit of information about that: they were only allowed those 2 levels. It wasn't that they picked 2 levels to put on there because they didn't want to put the whole game. They actually wanted to have the whole game. They weren't actually allowed to use any more than 2 levels because they're being really funny with the license.
I feel so sorry for the ex-Free Radical guys.
Yeah.
That studio has a brilliant legacy, but it went out so poorly.
Yeah.
So underwhelmingly. One of the first studios in that whole wave of studios to collapse in the PS3 era.
It's a shame. It's a real shame. I can't believe, like you said, that it didn't get the PS3 HD treatment or whatever.
Yeah, didn't get released. Crytek never continued with Time Splitters 4, which was already in development.
They pushed forward with Rise, of all things.
Did they do? Yeah, God, they did do Rise. Yeah,
Rise, Son of Rome, which ended up costing them a lot because that was when the whole not paying employees came out and stuff. Like employees hadn't been paid for like 6 months.
Yeah, not good.
Madness.
Not good. Ark Survival
Speaking
is the
of
best-selling
practice,
game on PSN in Europe and the US for January.
Awful. This is not good news. This is terrible news.
Right.
It's an unfinished game.
This is the dinosaur game.
Yeah, this is the dinosaur game that is still in early access on Steam. Somehow is now on the PS4 store and is selling ridiculously well because for some reason people are desperate to play an unfinished game. Don't get me wrong, the idea of Ark is fantastic and these kind of games sell really well on Steam. You get like The Forest, which is coming to PS4, which I'm really excited about. This shared open world survival. Rust is another really popular one. Mm-hmm. So I get it. And obviously they've thrown dinosaurs in the mix as well. So what's not to like? But it's not finished. It isn't a finished article. This shouldn't be sold on a console, in my opinion. I think PC allows them to edit on the fly a lot more, which is why early access has been around for so much longer. And I think putting them onto consoles, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the people that purchased that game thought it was finished. It's a bit like Paragon, because Paragon's been doing this as well. Paragon is still not a finished game. It's a highly polished.
And are they selling it?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Paragon's free to download, but everything else is freemium, so everything else in it costs.
See, I would never. I don't know. I think it's got to be mostly about education. I would never download a game for free that wasn't finished and then spend money on microtransactions within it.
Yeah.
Because that would just feel like you're burning money, because that game may end up not coming out in a completed form. And it's like home.
Yeah.
You go in there, you buy a flat, and then it's gone.
Yeah. And it highlights things like that. Highlight I've pushed around an article on this about the store needing to be curated or not. And it highlights to me stuff like Black Tiger.
Yeah.
You've obviously heard about that game.
I've seen that, yeah.
The ridiculousness of it and the fact that it is for sale on the PlayStation Store. Like, they should have a bigger net to catch these kind of things. Because that's wrong. That's not a finished game. That is someone's university dissertation piece. That's not a finished game. That should be being sold.
I mean, I think that's generous saying it's university level, to be honest.
I don't know. I couldn't do that yet.
Yeah, but you're moving boxes, so that's already better.
It worries me, and I actually contemplated buying Ark, which makes me feel even worse.
Oh, really?
Because it was on the store, and I immediately put my faith in the fact that maybe it's finished. It looks good.
On the store.
I want to play it, but I don't want to invest in it midway through. And I don't think it clearly labels it. It should have maybe an early access
section.
Yeah, section or bit beginning of the title.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is about education.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Sony are a business, and they make money from things being on their store. Yeah, it's embarrassing that things like Black Tiger get through, but why should they care? You've already bought their console, and you don't have to buy Black Tiger. But you're right, games like early access titles should be separated on the store, and it should be labelled clearly, and consumers should know what they're buying.
Yeah, especially when
Although I haven't heard any stories of people buying it and then discovering it wasn't finished and being really upset.
No. So I guess
there is that
where are the negatives?
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
Let's stop complaining. Next, Ubisoft. Apparently they are going to try and develop fewer games in order to focus on long-term support.
It's good news.
And support, I assume, means, what, DLC plans?
Yeah, I mean, long-term support for a game is constant bug fixing, server management, DLC, that kind of thing.
You know what I'd rather them do? Is long-term development instead. So they release a game with
conveyor belt games.
Exactly. I don't care that. I don't really care about post-release support, although obviously games should have that. And to be honest, it's concerning that they're saying that they're going to focus on that instead as some kind of admission that our games aren't finished. We're going to sell bits/patch bits to you. I'd rather them say, we're going to work on longer development cycles and better games.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of a studio saying, we're going to release fewer games so we can focus on selling you more DLC. That's what that sounds like to me.
I didn't read it like that. And now, yeah, that is a really good point.
I don't know, though. I don't know if that's the case or if it's just worded weirdly or what, but that doesn't... I'd rather them churn out games, to be honest, because there's a better chance of one of them being good. Because it sounds like they're going to continue to churn out games, but slower, so they can sell you more DLC.
They are just throwing a lot at the wall and hoping it sticks at the minute, though.
I was talking to someone about Steep the other day.
Yeah.
And I said, you remember that snowboarding game Ubisoft closed their conference with last E3?
Yeah.
And it was bewildering, and everyone said, why did they do that? That looked like an okay game. Not really the big thing that you end your conference on. And he said, yeah, I remember that. I said, oh, yeah, that came out in November. No, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that came out in November.
They gave it
no, it
very
didn't.
little.
It just, I don't know. The biggest proof that game failed for me is that there was one copy in my local CEX. So there aren't even enough copies in the wild to be traded in.
Did they feature For Honor at that press conference?
Yeah, that's been at a few now.
Okay. Because I feel like that's just come out of the blue. Like the last month, maybe? It's suddenly been on every YouTube ad and stuff like that, but I haven't really... I felt like it was quite unfamiliar until then. Until
they started running the betas and the open tests. Yeah, it's been relatively quiet. But that's out. That came out today or yesterday, I think. Yesterday, maybe.
Yesterday is a Valentine's launch.
Weirdly.
Well, yeah, and coincided with Sniper Elite 4 as well. Strange.
Next news.
GTA 5. It beat Neo to number 1 in the charts. GTA 5.
Yep.
Beat a brand new released game.
Admittedly, Neo is pretty niche. But
still, GTA 5.
Yeah, it's insane. And do they need to release another GTA game is the question.
No.
Financially, no, but I'd like them to.
It's been in the top 10 of the charts since release, constantly.
Yeah. It is the best-selling game of all time, right? It's done that.
Yeah.
Right, I was going to say.
Well, it did, what, 2 billion in the first week?
2 billion, yeah, and then sold and more recently, I think it's 20 gajillion is the most accurate up-to-date figure. Yeah, it's that online. People love that online. All the kids, all the children like to play the online. All the 12-year-olds.
Obviously, they get their friends involved, and yeah. And I suppose
all the 7-year-olds running around, running over people, calling you homophobic slurs and stuff. Oh, it's lovely. What a lovely place.
But yeah, Neo. I think it deserved the top spot because it's blown a lot of people away. There's been overwhelmingly positive stuff about it.
Lots of people liking it.
And it's PS4 exclusive, isn't it?
It is. So yep, Sony published it in Europe.
Yeah.
In the UK, at least. I'm not sure about the rest of Europe. Finally. Not finally. You know what? Finally. Let's just make it finally. This is enough. It's enough, Tarrant. Quantic Dream have finally finished mocapping work for Detroit Become Human. That's very exciting.
Yes.
I love David Quage, and I love his wonky creations. Hopefully this is slightly less wonky than Beyond Two Souls. But I hope it has the trademark wonkiness in it.
So, a bit wonky.
A little bit wonky,
not too
not
wonky.
Full wonky. Yeah, exactly.
Don't ever go full wonky, man.
Exactly, yeah. I hope it had some wonky sex scenes in it.
They're the best.
Every game's got to have wonky sex scenes.
Only a woman.
There was a wonky sex scene in Fahrenheit, which took me by surprise, and made you do way more than you should ever have to do in a video game.
Press X to
interact
finish.
With sex. It wasn't that. It was you had to use the right analog stick to thrust.
Amazing.
Like, okay, I don't know about this.
Almost as bad as a sex scene QTE.
What?
QuickTime event.
Yeah, I know what that is, but from what?
Just imagine press triangle at this point, and then he does something, and then press circle at that.
Oh yeah, that's kind of it. That's kind of exactly what it was.
Oh god.
The whole game's a QTE.
Yeah.
It's Anyway, that's David Quage. That's the news. Let's move on to talk about Prey.
This is Morgan. The year is 2034. I keep having this dream. I'm just staring into the black between the stars. There's something there. I know there is. I can't see it, but it sees me. It sees everything. You know what I'm talking about. Or you will soon.
Prey.
Yeah,
I played that.
the big preview.
Hey.
Hey.
I missed that. I should have used that. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Also, subtitle for you, Sammy, if you're listening, for the final review. Eat, pray, love. If it's good.
See, I'm quite
eat,
happy
pray,
with
hate.
my
It's bad.
sub on my preview.
Go on then.
You'll see
it's
why.
rubbish.
A player chooses, the prey obeys. You'll know the link to that.
I do.
Yeah.
A player chooses.
Yeah.
Okay.
The prey obeys.
I get it.
I'll explain it.
No, I understand it.
No, I'll talk about
Just
it.
you could have done. I'm just thinking of like the pun work that you could have done there.
I wanted it to relate to Bioshock, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
A man chooses, a prey obeys.
A prey obeys.
Yeah.
Awful.
Like prey -ve.
No. Don't like it.
I don't like yours.
Great.
You suck. Go to hell.
Well, I'm going to talk about it to deal with it.
Fine.
So I went to
I'm going
Bethesda.
to talk over you though. Oh, go on.
I went to Bethesda in London, their offices, sat down, played a bit of Prey. First
Came
impressions.
home, put the kettle on,
Yeah.
had some tea.
Yeah. And then I wrote my impressions, which you can read on pushsquare.com right now. But I'm going to talk about them in a bit more detail here. So
Oh.
you are Morgan Yu. Now, Morgan Yu can be a boy or a girl, man or a woman. And
Is Morgan a lady name?
yeah, I don't see
They
why.
just not want to record the dialogue twice.
I think, I mean,
Jeffrey's a lady's name, right, guys? Yeah.
that obviously came into the decision, but basically I think they wanted you to be able to identify with the character. And obviously a lot of people struggle to identify with a character that they're playing that isn't their sex. And the idea of identity seems to be something that they're really pushing in this game. So to have an androgynous setting for the character was quite important. And it does have like no ramifications whatsoever on your experience if you choose to be a male or a female. It literally is just your avatar is
Right. So like one of the other characters doesn't say, "Hey Morgan, let's like high five with our dicks."
no,
It doesn't do
exactly no.
that. Right. Okay. Because that wouldn't work with the lady character.
Well, yeah, you'd be really put out and like you'd feel like a failure because you couldn't dick five this other person.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. None of that. So you wake up and you're in Morgan's apartment, and it's all very well lit. The visuals are really, really good. Just think Dishonored 2. It's obviously going to have been done in the same engine. You can like look around, jump in your get into your suit, and then you start messing about with all the stuff on the side. And you can pick it up, have a look at it, throw it about the room. There's alcohol on the side that you can drink and get drunk. And you're slowly kind of shepherded out. You follow down a corridor, and you meet your first character, who I believe is a relative of yours that works at TranStar, the company. And that's where you start to notice that it is very much like Dishonored. The character animations are all very familiar, very much the same. And there's a really cool kind of synthy back ambient music that kind of lays it out. You jump in a helicopter, and I really loved this. So you jump in a helicopter and you fly to the TranStar offices because you're in your apartment block, and you fly over to the offices. And as you're flying over something that looks like San Francisco Bay, along the bridge is like an Arkane Studios game, like written on the bridge. And then as you turn around and land on top of the office blocks, it says Prey. And then when you get out the helicopter,
Yes.
it's gone.
I love the title sequence. I must say at this point that I edited the video preview that went up on What Culture, so I've seen all the footage that you played through as well,
Yeah.
and I love that opening.
So
the way
good.
that they've just smacked the the opening credits on top of buildings.
Yeah, it's really
great.
cool.
Yeah. It's great.
And then when you're in the office block, you start going through some tests. And it's basically the game's tutorial, but it's implemented into the game really organically, which I really liked. There's none of this press X to jump for no apparent reason. It's not a gamified tutorial. It's very much you're doing an experiment to learn the button mapping, which I thought was a really organic and clever way to do it. And that's when the cracks start to show and what's going on. And for anyone listening, there will be spoilers because I can't talk about the demo without talking about spoilers.
I see. Let's stop here for a second.
Okay.
Because before we started recording, we both said that we had an issue with them showing off the first hour of the game.
Yes.
Literally the first hour. Now, I think this twist that you're about to talk about in a second, it's such a shame that they showed it here. Because I think it's such a good twist that it should have been saved for people. And everyone knows that it happened. It takes place in space.
Yes.
On a spaceship, Talos 1. And it's... I mean, hell, the debut trailer they showed is the guy in his apartment, and then not everything is as it seems, and then it turns out he's actually on a spaceship in space. Maybe if we don't mention the specifics of how he discovers everything isn't as it seems, just in case.
Okay. Because
I don't know. Did you talk about it in your preview of what happened?
No, I tried not to go into specifics. I don't like spoiling it for people too much.
Exactly. Right, okay. And that's another issue I had, although that just exacerbates the issue that I have. Cause I was sat there with my colleague watching this footage.
Yeah.
And then the thing happens that makes, Morgan realise that not everything is as it seems. And we were like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I kind of wish I'd have played the game to discover that.
It was a really...
Right?
I mean, for all that to be jam-packed in the first hour is, on one hand, really good. But on the other hand, I don't... I've got concerns about that, definitely, being all jam-packed in the first hour. And I do talk about, in my preview, some of the worries that I have from the feelings I get while playing this.
Right.
I really, really like the Typhon aliens, so the mimics that can mimic things, especially when they mimic, like, dead bodies.
Oh, God.
Because that makes me bloody jump, and you think you're fine. You think you've got an idea of where the mimics are going to come out, and they've placed them really, really well. So they make you jump. I don't necessarily like dealing with them because you just have to thwack them at this point with your wrench. Because we literally played from the start an hour in, so we had none of the upgrades or anything like that. No access to the alien upgrades, which allow you some of the abilities like the mimic, so you can turn into a coffee cup to disappear and stuff. And
to roll under. I think the example they gave at one point was that there was a guy, he was trying to break into this little security hut.
Yeah, and he turns into a mug.
He turns into a mug to roll under the counter separator divider so he could get in there.
Which is great, and that highlights the level design at play. It's very much... I mean, I gushed about it heavily in my Dishonored 2 preview.
It's Dishonored in space, isn't it?
Yeah, really? It is. It really is. And you can see Arkane's hallmarks like everywhere. I mean, there was a part where I was just exploring, because when you're in the space station, you're on your own and you're set to explore, and you need to try and find an office in the demo. And I took a different turn. I want to have a look around, and I found a locked door. And I think it was to security. So I'm sitting there thinking, it's going to be a weapon in there of sorts. But I needed a key card. So I was like, I'm going to have to try and find a key card then. And looked up and realised that there's this big yellow pipe. Jumped up onto this pipe. And it leads you through an air duct and gets you into security that way. So nice. But I did find the key card to security like 20 minutes later. Yeah. So there's so many different ways to do the same thing. And like you said with the coffee cup, like there's going to be another way into that office.
Yeah.
But you can turn into a coffee cup and go under the grill.
Mm-hmm.
And the glue cannon, which isn't spelt glue, Glue, it's GLOO, because it's an acronym for something that I cannot remember.
Great Lobbin
organic
orange or organism.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Definitely. That fires out like concrete, basically. And you can temporarily freeze like phantoms, which are the larger Typhon aliens that we fought, and mimics and stuff. You can temporarily freeze them, but you can also fire this material onto the wall and use that as a climbing mechanic, which is just, that's so clever, because I didn't even look at the gun and think, I just saw it as an offensive weapon. I never thought of it in that sense. And you can also use it to like seal pipes that are leaking gas or fire and block your path, which is, again, it just opens up. It's such a playground. It really is like a big space of a playground, sandbox. Spacebox. It's eerie, and the architecture is very, well, they call it Neo-Deco, but it's Art Deco.
It's Rapture.
This
is what it is.
This is where the biggest concern and probably the most positive thing about Prey comes from, is that you are in Space Rapture. You're up there orbiting the moon, but you are in Rapture. Everything looks super familiar. Everything feels super familiar. You can get neuro mods that are really visceral to actually obtain. You basically stab yourself in the eye with this modifying tool, and you gain an ability. But it's just Adam, isn't it?
Yeah, I understand the comparison there, but I mean they've been doing this in Dishonored as well. If anything, I think it is a lot like plasmids from BioShock, but equally
it's just like runes from
Dishonored. the runes in Dishonored, very similar. Hopefully the method of obtaining these powers is a little more linear, in that you don't have to go out of your way to collect nonsense like the little charms or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was. I
feel like it already is kind of like that, because I accidentally found a couple of neuro mods that were really out the way. But you need to collect.
You can miss them.
Yeah, you can totally miss them. They're not. The whole game's not linear at all.
Yeah,
really.
and that's great, and I loved that about Dishonored. But that also was a source of frustration for me in terms of the powers. I think the powers should have been at the start of each level, or every 2 levels, you get a power.
Yeah.
And then if you want to upgrade it or use it, that's up to you. But then at least the game is giving you level. That. And otherwise, it's just annoying. I just found it annoying. And that was a real difficulty curve for me in Dishonored 2. Because I couldn't afford anything to start with. Because I didn't want to mess around looking for runes all the time.
Yeah.
It's really annoying. So I hope that it's slightly different here. And if things are out of the way, then that's fine. But as long as they're just out of the way, they're not out of the way, and you need to go and collect space money to buy them.
It doesn't seem to be like that at all, and the inventory system's I quite enjoyed using it. You can find recycling bays in a couple of rooms, and you can literally throw all the junk you picked up and convert it into useful items to craft stuff with. So there's like limited crafting and upgrading to your weapons and your gear. There's a whole skill tree set, so there's engineer, security, and scientist, I think, and they respectively do, like, scientist does medicine and the effectiveness of health. Engineer is your ability with the wrench and some systems, and security is obviously weapons and stuff, firearms. Right. So you can, again, it's all on identity, playing your own way, choosing how you want to play the game, which is very brave to do in such an expanse. But also, I think the story, knitting it together, is going to be really important. A lot of people had some complaints with Dishonored 2's story. Mm-hmm. Where the level design excelled, the story perhaps lacked a bit, felt a bit, just a bit plain.
Yeah, the environmental storytelling in Dishonored 2 was phenomenal in terms of all the stuff you could pick up. But from strictly a narrative perspective, quite annoying.
Yeah.
But it seems that in Prey, it's got a really, really good premise in that the whole everything is not as it seems.
Yes, very good premise, and this is why I think did you meet January when you were watching it?
Oh God, is that the guy?
The guy that talks,
Peter Griffin.
Yeah,
seen him.
So. What, the guy that talks to you, not the physical character? He's the one that communicates.
Not the fat guy.
No. Sorry.
Oh, or maybe not then.
Okay, I think he's called January, but he talks to you, and I've got a really like Andrew Ryan feeling about it. With Atlas.
Yeah.
And I think there's, like you said, there's a lot of scope and a lot of potential, because the story, I already want to know what goes on. I'm already so keen to play more. So that in itself is a really good sign.
Yeah.
But I'm also apprehensive about the crutches of Dishonored and Bioshock. I hope it doesn't lean too heavily. So far, from what I've seen, it's skimmed off the best bits of the two, which, in my opinion, is probably one of the best alliances in gaming you can imagine, because they are two very good pedigrees.
Yeah.
I hope there's more variety to the Typhons. I hope they don't just get bigger. I hope there's a bit more. You have to be more tactical with how you take them down rather than just bludgeoning them all. I like that there's very limited ammo, at least in the parts that I played. So I only used the shotgun twice because I couldn't find ammo. So I had to be way more tactical in my decisions, freezing them, hiding, skulking around them. I didn't feel like I did in Dishonored, which was just kill everyone because I can. You feel a little bit less able to wipe out this alien force, which I think is good because you're the prey. You're not the one in control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you play the original Prey?
I didn't. So I'm coming into this completely pure.
It seems to be completely unconnected.
Yes.
In any way. But I imagine there'll be some Easter egg somewhere.
Of course. I'm going to play it actually because I remember picking it up in Game Station. This shows how long ago that was. RIP Game Station. And it was £1.50 on PS3 back then.
I don't think it was on PS3.
Was it PS3?
I think it was Xbox 360.
It would have. Wow, yeah. Then it would have been when I had an Xbox before it caught fire. That's a.
How long was that? Like 2 weeks.
I was playing.
Take that, Xbox.
I was playing Fable 2, and I did the money cheat, where you changed the time on your console when you own some houses, and I set it to 2005. Obviously, when the 360 launched, played the game a bit, saved, went back and changed it to like 20 years in the future. Jumped back in, and the amount of money I'd earned, obviously in the time jump, it was just pure zeros across the screen. And then my screen went green.
Too greedy.
And then a puff of smoke came out the back of my Xbox, and then genuine flames. Fortunately, I was playing it in my lounge, and I just tossed it in the garden. And I remember emailing Microsoft with a picture of just this smouldering heap. Wow. And they were like, it's out of warranty.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Big technology companies, they love that kind of stuff.
So there you go, true story.
Wow. My goodness. But there we go, that's Prey. That's out on the 5th of May, I think?
5th of May 2017. So very soon.
It is, and that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that, because Dishonored was great, but it left me feeling a little bit cold. So
I think I think the blend on offer here will fill that gap that I think anyone that had played Dishonored 2 had.
Hasn't been a Bioshock game for a while. Hasn't been a Dead Space game for a while.
There were elements of Dead Space. The fact that you're an engineer-y type, so it's a lot more focused on the tools of the trade,
like
being
the glue gun.
weaponized. Exactly. There was some Dead Space elements to that too. And like you said, we haven't had either of those games for a long time. So I think the time is right for this, and I'm very eager to play more. I want to see how it pans out. I
hope they promote it properly.
Yeah, I mean the marketing at the moment for it is very eye-catching. I really love the cover art for it. I think that's wicked. But I keep looking at it like the Death Star's behind him for some reason when I glimpse it. But yeah, I really like it. It was very visual. So hopefully they plug it correctly.
Excellent. And your full preview up now. Pushsquare.com. The embargo lifted today.
Yep, 15.
So that'll still be hanging around the website, hopefully on the front page for a little while. So you should be able to find that if you're looking for it. Now, let's move on to what we are playing. What are we playing, Tarrant? What are we playing apart from Prey?
I've actually been playing The Witness.
Ooh.
Picked that up in the sale, and I've been playing some of that. My girlfriend's been very helpful, helping me deal with some of the puzzles, because I get to a puzzle sometimes, look at it, and be like, I haven't got a Scooby, and she'll immediately know, because the way they work is that... have you played it?
I played a little bit of it, yeah.
It's really, from a game design perspective, of which I'm studying, it's very interesting at the way he's done it, that he would slowly give you a puzzle idea, and he'll give you a really simple way to solve a puzzle, and then he'll make it a little bit more difficult, then a bit more difficult, then it's really difficult, and then he then knows that you know how to solve that type of puzzle,
right?
And then we'll merge that puzzle with other puzzles later in the game, and it goes through that formula. A lot of Mario games use it as well, and it's a really clever way to learn, because you get the sense of achievement without being completely stuck all the time. But there's occasions where they just throw out a random puzzle, and it's those ones that really stump me. And my girlfriend will just pop up and be like, "Oh, you do it like this." So it's quite interesting how different mindsets work in tandem to solve those puzzles. But I'm really enjoying it. I really want to know what the story is. I'm completely cold on anything about it. So I'm playing this quite fresh, considering the hype's kind of been and gone for it. But yeah, I really want to know what's going on. I love the art style, the world, the island, I should say. It's really good fun. I've already ignited 2 beams, so I'm super interested to know what that's involved with, why I'm on my own, and such and such. So yeah, I'm really enjoying playing that at the minute, but it's a jump in, jump out kind of thing.
It's I think you're able to actually solve or finish the game immediately.
Oh, really?
There's a really, really subtle, like super subtle way in the first area that you can trace a puzzle or whatever it is, trace the line by aligning it with the clouds or the sun or something, and you can just beat the game there.
Wow.
If you're clever enough.
If you're clever enough.
So are you liking it though? Are you enjoying it?
I'm loving it. Yeah, I'm like I said, it's a jump in, jump out, very small dose game. There's no way you could session that for a few hours. It's very much like because it breaks into sections that have themes. So I did Symmetry Island or Symmetry Corner, whatever you want to call it. So that was all based on having 2 dots to solve the puzzle, and one would go one way and one would go the other. You know, a mirrored puzzle. I did like that island in one go, but I couldn't do the other one in one go because I was getting a bit exhausted. Okay. So I am really enjoying it, but I'm enjoying it in small doses and with help.
Excellent.
What about you, man?
I have been hooked on Stardew Valley. I can't stop playing it. I put 50 hours into it, and I think I am now slowly trying to wean myself off it.
Does it work on PS4?
Yeah.
Yeah? Because I always look at it like a mobile game.
No, that's an insult. It's an insult to this game. Yeah. I don't think it would work on mobile either.
Huh.
Probably would.
Like PS Vita maybe or something. A lot of people are crying for it on Vita.
Well, the thing is, the trophies are listed for Vita and PS4.
But so are Destiny's.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, well then it's a mess up. But it would be amazing on Vita. But it's amazing on PS4 as well. I'm just so hooked on it. Like I thought on Sunday what I'll do is I'll reach the next milestone in that I'll upgrade my house all the way, and I'll move all of my animals, barns and stuff to another part of the farm, and I'll restructure it how it looks, that kind of stuff, in preparation for winter when all your crops die. and I did all that, and then I thought, okay, then I'll finally start the Telltale Batman series. Right. And I stopped playing at 10 p.m. that night. The problem is I keep putting my PS4 into rest mode and suspending the application and not closing it. So I keep resuming immediately from where I left off. And I do think I'm properly done now. Like, I YouTubed what happens when you finish all the community bundles in the community center and stuff, because I think the thing that really forced me to evaluate my time and think, is this worth me sticking with, was by looking at the trophies. Right. And I've been playing for bloody ages, and I've got about 15% of the trophies. Ouch. And the rest of them are like, it's the least fun platinum in the entire world. Like, it's a platinum that would make you hate this game so much. So it's like catch every fish, have a 10-heart relationship with 8 people, which is just time-consuming and really tedious and boring. And there's all that kind of stuff. Cook every item, sell one of every item. It's just awful. And the narrative of the game is built around the community center, in that it's all dilapidated, and you go in there, and there are various checklists. And on these checklists in the different rooms, they have these bundles available. And in order to complete a bundle, you have to get 5 or 6 particular items. Mm-hmm. So, for example, in one room there'll be a crop checklist, and there'll be the summer crop bundle, the spring crop bundle, the artisan foods bundle, or whatever. And within the summer crops bundle, you'll need like a corn, a melon, a yam, or something. I don't know. And once you turn those in, you get a reward. So like 50 miscellaneous summer seeds, for example.
Right.
And then once you complete all the crop bundles on that particular checklist, that room is then revitalized and looks brand new, and you'll get a big reward that affects the map. So for example, I finished all of the crop bundles and I got a greenhouse on my farm, which means I can plant stuff during the winter and it'll continue to grow and stuff like that. And I've done all of the bundles apart from maybe 4 or 5 spread across 2 checklists. So I've very nearly done all of the community center stuff. I thought, right, this is the main narrative. This is why I'm there, to complete this community center. And I looked at the trophies, and it's a bronze trophy for finishing all the bundles.
Wow.
And I think, screw that. That's not worth my time, you know. And the only ones I've got left are really obscure stuff, like the fish that you need a special rod to catch, and you need to catch at certain times of the year in certain weather. And I just think I can't be asked with that. And if I'm doing that for a bronze trophy, then honestly, I know my enjoyment of games, my enjoyment of this game up until this point hasn't been about trophies at all. But I'm thinking, when I'm trying to evaluate whether or not I keep playing, and it's based on, well, should I push for the platinum? The answer is no, because the platinum's ridiculous. So I'm done, and I think I'm finished now.
Kicking that habit.
Yeah, and I loved it, and it's a brilliant game, and I'd recommend it to anyone that wants Harvest Moon on PS4 but you can't have it.
Cool.
But I'm done, man. I can't play it anymore. It's wrecking my life. Can't put it down. But there we go. That's what I've been playing.
Cool.
Okay, let's move on. Audience questions. Question time. It's question time, Tarrant.
It is.
What's the first question?
It's from Dermeister, our regular contributor. DLC has a bad rep, but what are your favourite DLC add-ons from the PS3, PS4 era?
Well, The Witcher's got to go right in there.
Still haven't played it. Haven't played it.
You suck. I do. Suck. Yeah, the Witcher DLC, Blood and Wine, and Hearts of Stone or Heart of Stone, I can't remember what it's called. Amazing. Dozens of hours of gameplay out of Blood and Wine.
Yep.
Which is a whole new area. Hearts of Stone is a fantastic quest line that adds a couple of extra quests in there as well. There's also, 5-6 hours long.
Yeah.
Just really good. Just good. Just so good. Apart from that, Borderlands 2 supported the crap out of it, out of itself, with all the add-ons.
Yeah.
There's honestly, in the Handsome collection, it's ridiculous. You start the game and you go to a fast travel point, and there's you got 15 locations unlocked already because they're all DLC.
Jeez.
Extra characters, loads of stuff like that. I remember when COD 4 released its first map pack, everyone lost their mind over it because it was, more COD 4 maps, it's crazy. But I can't think of anything more off the top of my head, really.
See, I, PS3 era at least, I didn't really even consider digital an option, which is obviously where you get most DLC, until the late period of its lifespan.
Really? You never looked at the store?
No.
You never looked at maximising your game?
I didn't have PS Plus or anything like that, so I just wrote it off, really.
Yeah, surely you went on the store before PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus came in late in the PS3 cycle, comparatively.
I guess I did. I mean, I got hold of the Dragonborn DLC for
Skyrim.
Yeah, for Skyrim.
Oh, that's 2011. Come on, that's ages.
Yeah, I can't really.
Did you have a PS3 in the early?
Not in the early. Like I said, I had an Xbox. I mean,
right.
And then when it caught fire, I then switched to PS3, and that birthed my journey. But yeah, I mean, Skyrim. It's a great package, and it was great to play more Skyrim because by that point I'd already platinumed it.
I didn't buy that DLC out of principle.
Because it was broken.
Because it was broken. My save data was over 100 hours, and I say that like I'm bragging, but I know Ramsey has 6 million hours in it, and a lot of people have save files that are way bigger. But it had reached the point where loading times were unbearable. And when I saw reviews for the DLC saying, "Oh yeah, it barely bloody runs," I was about to swear. Yeah. It barely bloody runs. I'm thinking, well, don't want to buy that then.
Yeah.
And also, they still had that stupid partnership with Xbox, which isn't so bad anymore, where we had to wait like 6 months before we got any of the DLC. It was a load of crap. Absolute load of crap.
I really liked... what did I really like? I liked Fallout 4's stuff. Far Harbor was really good.
What, when that ran?
When it finally ran, yeah. Because the frame rate was so bad to begin with. What else was there?
The Fallout 3 DLC was great as well, but again, ran kind of crappily, and we had to wait ages for it.
Yeah. Bloodborne had good DLC.
Yeah, Bloodborne had amazing DLC.
Last of Us? I really liked Left Behind,
Left Behind was brilliant.
That's a good... Yeah, Left Behind.
And technically it's DLC as well, because you needed the game to run it.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, no, fantastic. There's lots of great DLC out there. You just got to make sure you do it properly. Don't just poo something out and ask people to pay for it. Rubbish. Next question from Big Copman, or Copman. Has Sony dropped the ball on the PS Plus Instant Game Collection for this generation? Yeah.
I don't think they're obligated to have a ball picked up. I think it's a selling point, the fact that you get an instant game collection, but at the end of the day, if they removed it entirely, people will still buy Plus to play all these games that are always online.
I understand that, but Sony made their bed and they have to lie in it. They set the precedent for free games. Originally, it was a service that just gave free games to people. If you give people games every month and they're really good, like they were on PS3 every month, and then you start to give them stuff that isn't very good or that people don't really care about, you can't be surprised when they're annoyed by that. And I was a huge defender of PS Plus in the early days of PS4, in that there weren't many games to give away. So how did you expect them to give away, huge games every month? That was just not possible. But we're so many years into the PS4's life cycle, probably the equivalent of when PS Plus first launched on PS3, that it's just not really acceptable anymore. And I don't understand why it's so consistently crap. And that's part of the reason why I just don't have a PlayStation Plus subscription anymore. Because the games aren't worth it, and I don't play enough online stuff.
That's fair enough.
And for the longest time, even when I was a PS Plus subscriber, I didn't download the games because they were crap. And it's such a shit. And Little Big Planet 3 is a great game. And that bucks the trend. But then you've got your other headline game as, what is it, Not a Hero?
That's not a bad game.
It might not be a bad game, but it's not a big game, and people want big games, and there's loads of big games, and it's just insane to me. We've spoken before about how they could get around this by, consolidating PS Plus into maybe
just PS4,
PlayStation Now, or just PS4. PlayStation Now when internet speeds improve, or if they make it work just a little bit better. But currently, it's just like it's consistently almost laughable. I just think they're just not good games. And you can say that I'm being selfish or entitled, but I mean, hell yeah, I'm entitled. If I've been around since the era of, them giving away full PS3 retail games that were really good, and now we're getting 2-year-old independently developed games that averaged, 70 on Metacritic, people are going to complain about that. They're going to.
Well, there you go. You
Big
think
cop,
they definitely dropped the ball?
I think they dropped all the balls. The only way out of this, if there's a sincere reason for them not being able to give away the caliber of games they gave away on PS3, then they need to change how PlayStation Plus works. They either need to lower the price and get rid of the games, or they need to keep the price the same and change how they handle their games. Stop giving away Vita games and put more money, and PS3 games, and put more money into giving away better PS4 games. Because if you just said, right, we're not giving away PS3 games anymore, PlayStation Plus on PS3 is cancelled, you're not going to upset too many people.
Like 10?
Exactly, if that. If that. Who has a PS4, that's hard to say, is firing up their PS3 for the latest PlayStation Plus game they got this month?
Exactly.
It's just, what's the point? And if people who have a PS3 still have PlayStation Plus for their free game, I feel so sorry for you because the quality of those games has dropped exponentially as well.
Well, if you'd cancelled your PS Plus subscription at the launch of the PS4, you'd have saved up enough to buy a new PS4.
At least. But then you would have missed out. But occasionally they do get good games in there, like Rocket League. But that was honestly the last big one that was worth anything to me.
Well, there you go. There's the long answer.
Yeah, sorry about that little grumpy rant.
Moving on.
Grumpy rant there. Next question.
Rudy Manchego. Are we wrong to hope that each new video game movie adaptation will break the NAF adaptation rule? No. I think the rule exists because the trend exists, and I think Assassin's Creed was probably the shining light to try and buck that trend, in my opinion. And the fact that it has fallen flat means that people that put money into it aren't going to want to put money into it. The people that are going to want to earn money from it aren't going to want to associate with it. And I think it's... We spoke about it when we were talking about the Uncharted movie, didn't we? The fact that you're trying to adapt an interactive experience into a non-interactive experience. And sure, like The Last of Us, Uncharted have absolutely exquisite cinematic cutscenes, but that's a
story told over 10 hours.
Exactly. And that, even then, that's not all you experience of that game. A lot of the enjoyment of that game comes from getting stalked by a clicker, from clearing a room of bad guys and swinging on a vine and jumping on a jet ski and getting blown up by barrels. I don't know. That happens in Uncharted.
Yeah, that's like half an hour of the film right there.
Exactly. Just me
barrels.
Shouting.
Barrels. And an endless supply of grenade launcher ammo. Yeah. No, these films aren't good, and
I don't think that's going to change.
I don't think it is, but equally, they're so consistently poor that even Assassin's Creed fans probably didn't pay the Assassin's Creed film any attention.
Yeah.
So like, well, it's not going to be good. I only know one person who went to go and see it, and he didn't like it. So, I don't know. I don't know why they keep doing it.
Yeah.
Some of these games have fantastic stories, but as you said, you need a really good scriptwriter and you need a really good director to be able to understand and capture what those games mean. And so far, it hasn't happened.
Except the Doom film, which was great.
Sure. Okay, next question. This is from Luke Marsden. He says, which of your platinum trophies were the hardest to get? My name is Mayo for you.
Yes.
That's a difficult one. Or coffin dodges.
To be fair, I'd say, Her Majesty Spiffing probably would have been the hardest without you guiding me.
Well, yeah.
That would have been near
you do finish
impossible.
that game with 60% of the trophies.
But yeah, Skyrim's probably the only meaningful trophy I've got beyond Resogun Platinum. So, yeah, I'd say Skyrim because it took 115 hours of targeted gameplay.
Yeah.
To get that platinum. So yeah, probably Skyrim out of my small collection.
I keep forgetting what platinums I have, but two that stick out for me are Mass Effect 2.
Uh-huh.
The hardest difficulty on that was just so upsetting. so upsetting. So much so that what I did was I set my power to invisibility, like brief invisibility, and I would run through sections to try and trigger the next cutscene because the combat was so hard and so difficult that it was just stand up, die, stand up, die, stand up, and it was just like the last boss. Honestly, I threw controllers around. It took me all day to beat the last boss in that game on the hardest difficulty because you can't run from bosses. And oh man, so difficult. And the other one is Spec Ops: The Line, which also has a hardest difficulty that just takes the piss. It's just so hard.
Yeah.
But there we go. That's my two. Really. Next question. The McNoisy. If you could change your name, what would it be? That's weird. Just generally? If you could change your co-host's name, what would it be? Oof.
See, I quite like us having the same name. I quite like that. It's confusing when we're in company. So when Robert was around, we had to resort to...
He calls us by our last name anyway.
and we normally refer to one another by last name to solve that issue, but I've always looked at dogs called Ben and felt a sense of pride because...
Really? I don't know any dogs called Ben.
See, I've known a few, especially my friend had a really morbidly obese golden Labrador called Ben, and he was such a sweetheart. And
right. But he didn't have a sweetheart, and that's why he died.
No, he's not dead yet.
Oh, he should be.
He should be. He's massive. But I've watched him get old, and his name suits him throughout his life. And
Called Ben.
I feel like Ben is going to age with both of us quite well.
I think Ben is a good old man name.
Yeah.
Uncle Ben.
It's like one you can trust.
Yeah.
It's a trustworthy...
Yeah. I don't know. Would you change your own name then?
I'd change my second name maybe, just to avoid the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire gags at the kebab shop.
Oh, really? I've never made that connection. Thanks for making that connection for me.
Is
it A?
It's when you're spelling it to someone, and you spell it out and stuff, and they look at you blankly, and because you know they've just twigged it, and it's like, as in, I'd like to be a millionaire, but I'm not.
Right.
And then they get it.
See, I'm
surprised you've never made that.
I never made that connection, honestly. Never
I thought you were
made
just
it.
being kind and not...
No, I'm not kind. I'm not kind. I would have teased you mercilessly. I've never disliked my name, but obviously you get the Potter stuff all the time.
Of course.
It's fine now.
Potter.
I don't think I would change my last name.
Okay.
I used to idolise my cousin. I thought, Richard's a cool name.
That's okay, cool.
I'd like to be called Richard.
Richard Potter.
I thought that was a really cool name.
Fair
There we
enough.
go. Then he got hooked on meth, and I don't think he's so cool anymore.
Wow.
No, he didn't really. Come on.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jesus.
I just outgrew him. I'm just a far superior human being, and just thought, you know what, he should want my name. That's my goal.
Everyone should be called Ben.
That's it. That's the aim. Last question.
SKC Diamond? What franchise from another platform would you bring over to PlayStation?
Pokemon and Harvest Moon.
Pokemon was also one I would say, and probably Halo.
Oh, really?
Just because I
I couldn't
really
give
like
two
Halo.
damns about Halo.
But I like Halo 2 and 3 so much. I haven't played 4 and 5. Is there a 5?
There is. Maybe they're working on a 5. I don't know. Probably.
Halo would be cool. What other... Xbox hasn't got any exclusives, so...
Gears of War, Forza. That's pretty much your lot.
So there you go. Yeah. Halo and Pokemon. Bloody hell, put Pokemon on PlayStation. Do it. Or
Just put it on a console.
Yeah.
Do a Pokemon on a console, please, like a real one.
because it
That'd be
plays
great.
so well if you get the Game Boy adapter for the SNES.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah. And especially with the new one being properly 3D.
Do
You
it.
can move around, it's no longer grid-based. Why wouldn't you do it?
Do it.
Crazy people. Anyway, that's all of our questions. And if you have any questions for us, you can ask them in the Push Square forums. We're under the online and community section and stick it right to the top. Alternatively, you can email us directly on our email, podcast@pushsquare.com. Let's move... So- what?
I need to tell them about the Twitter.
Oh, go on.
We also have a Twitter account. So, you can find us there at Push Square Pod.
That's at Push Square Pod. At Push Square Pod. At Push Square Pod. Let's move on to the end.
So, coming up on pushsquare.com, I've had to take a guess because Sammy hasn't managed to have a look at our notes because
I don't think he listens. I don't think he listens.
I shared them really late, so it's my fault. But I can almost guarantee you that something to do with For Honor is
Yeah.
coming from resident Litchfield man, Alex Stinton.
Straight out of Litchfield.
And Horizon Zero Dawn is releasing soon. So,
I know when the review embargo for that is.
when is it?
He says, forgetting. Oh God! I think it's either it's the early 20s of February. So
Okay.
a good week before it comes out.
Okay. Because I imagine we'll talk about that on the next show.
Quite probably.
I'm really excited for that. Really excited for that.
I'm
yeah.
still feeling nothing.
Wow.
I know.
But yeah, those two will be soon.
Spoon.
Spoon.
Coming spoon. Now, if you want all that coming straight to your social media feeds, then you can follow us on Twitter at PushSquare or at PushSquarePod, or find us on Facebook.com/PushSquare. And if you want to see rather than read because you're lazy like me, go to YouTube.com/PushSquare, and where you can find streams, vlogs, and other video form shenanigans. What if they'd like to hear more of us, though, Tarrant?
The Push Square podcast can be found on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. And on iTunes, if you give us a 5-star rating, that's really helpful for our ego points, and I'm sure some kind of algorithm that iTunes works off of.
Yes, get us those ego points. Can you say SoundCloud for me again?
SoundCloud.
Good stuff.
Well
so
trained.
make sure you keep it locked to pushsquare.com, the best PlayStation website on the internet. The best PlayStation website on the internet, and if anyone tells you otherwise, you can punch them in the face.
That's a rule.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Tarrant.
Thank you very much, Potter.
Speak to you in March. Oh, yeah, and if anyone wants to give us some feeders on, feeders? Is that the word? Any pointers on where you'd like the show to go? I do like Feeder the band. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. I am hungry as well. There's lots of things going on.
I'm hungry.
There's lots of stuff going on there, a lot of subtext. Make sure you email us, podcast@pushsquare.com. Let us know what you want us to do. This podcast is as much yours as it is ours. Obviously, it's not. We own it. Don't try and claim it's yours. Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, Potter.
Thank you for listening to the Push Square Podcast. For the latest PlayStation news, reviews, and features, visit www.pushsquare.com.